Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael. Dude, what is going on?
We are enjoying opening day. We are enjoying baseball. It is fully back at this point. All teams have now played as it is past Friday, and excuse me, and we are happy about it. It's been a good few first games across the league, and it's just nice. It's probably I really go back and forth, but I might have to just give it the slight edge in terms of my personal favorite sport, the one I played the longest and whatnot. But it's very nice to be back, and we got the first slate, the first, well, not the first. We got the entire Sweet 16 yesterday. The Elite Eight is set, and yeah, it is some good stuff. We had a nice Sixers game with Embiid and George back, and we're gonna get some more
We
folks
have an
back on the team.
insane sports day today, Michael. This is the first insane sports day we've had in months, I would
Yeah,
say.
I would say so. We have Elite Eight basketball. We have a full MLB slate. We have Flyers and Sixers both playing against teams that are right in there with them in the playoff race. Yeah, it is absolutely a big day for sports. Let's get very quickly out of the way. The Flyers, I guess we were kind of live chatting the Flyers during our last show, and they did unfortunately lose, and it kind of all but cooked their playoff chances. They're not fully out of it, but it really is going to be like a pretty massive miracle if they do make it. But if they want to, it definitely starts tonight with a regulation win over the Detroit Red Wings, who just won last night. So they want to have a shot. You got to start with a win tonight. No really other way to put it. The only quick thing I want to touch on is how if they had just played Zegras at center all season, like just to kind of figure it out and what was supposed to be a nothing year anyways, probably would have been better off. But they made the switch so late in the season. Tockett is like quoted on saying, "Yeah, I don't know, we'll see." And in the last like what was it, 12 games or whatever since he's been moved to center, they're like 7-3-2, something like that. Like it's really frustrating. That was easily your best option to be good, and you didn't like kind of try it. But whatever, it doesn't really all matter all that much.
Yeah, I was just the obviously I think hashtag Flyers Purgatory. It's been trending on Twitter over the last week. Now even like nationally, people even realize that like wow, the Flyers like literally miss the playoffs barely every year. They run the same team back. It's kind of like mind boggling. It's like the Flyers are like the I don't know, like the Jeff Fisher Rams. They go 7-9 every single year with like the same roster. Um, yeah, it sucks, man. It obviously sucks. You know,
Yeah, it just blows.
it does, and honestly, like and listen, we talked about that stat about how the Flyers like goals and goals against have like there's like a 30-point difference, it's like a 30 25 to 30 goal differential each way because they added Trevor Zegras and Dan Vladar, and the fact that they're the key parts to it, which tells me that it's literally the same group of guys. Like they're not going to get better, and they're not going to get worse either. If unless they until age creeps in. Real quick though, too, like there's a chance the Flyers could have like 93 points and not make the playoffs, which seems kind of ridiculous if you think about it. And my
Mhm.
concern, I think, going into the off season, and you're going to hear this, Michael, and you're going to get triggered by it. They're going to be like, well, the Eastern Conference was just so competitive this year. Like in a normal year, we would have been a 6 seed. So like we're not. So why do you
Yeah, and it's like sure, but it again, it doesn't make you a cup contender
correct?
ultimately.
Exactly. That's like my thing is like I'm going to ask you this. This is kind of a good debate point. Obviously, like you see, everyone wants to tank, understandably so. You want to get like better players, and oh my god, this is the
The
worst.
Sun.
I thought I had this fixed, Michael. I thought I had it fixed.
What do you get?
Hold
What
on,
are different blinds up or?
yeah, exact. I thought it'd
I
work.
mean, it's peeking through because right now I can see
It's
you're
like
like
28 degrees outside, but
yeah, because
it
right
wants
now
to.
you look like Zorro, where it's like you look like a superhero where you have a mask that only shows your eyes. Like that's like it's so bizarre. I don't really
Um,
know what you're supposed to do. Just kind of gotta.
mm,
Oof. Might need
yeah,
to put
this is
on
worse.
sunglasses
All right, maybe I should just put. Do I have sunglasses near me?
like a
Anyway, we'll
hat.
just we're
Hat would
gonna
be
we're gonna we're gonna deal with this for right now. Oh
yeah,
my god, this is.
you might have to abandon the window or
Give
get
me a
some
second.
blackout
I'm gonna turn my
curtains.
camera off.
Yeah,
Hold
maybe you
on.
need some blackout curtains. That might be the next investment
I think you're right.
because
Oh,
it's been what 7 minutes and it has gotten like the sun is clearly motoring in seven
can you
minutes
still hear
because
me?
yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we're gonna try something else. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Okay. Okay, that's
Oh,
much
oh, yes.
better. All right. So anyway, what was I talking about again?
You said you had a good debate point about the Flyers and you were
Yeah.
laying
So
out.
Michael, if the Flyers were to in the off season make some trades to make them better, like I'm like I don't know, let's say like I don't know, like Tim Stutzel or something from Ottawa, like is going to get moved, and the
Yeah,
Flyers acquire him
acquire a top
today.
center and stuff.
Or so they acquire like, or let's say they pick up like Mason McTavish and they, sort of like a Zegras type move where it's like, okay, he's like broken and we're gonna fix him,
Sure, sure.
so or and then maybe add some more pieces. Like we don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be traded this offseason because free agency is so bad. Like teams are going to want to move off contracts. There's so much young talent coming in. The idea of the Flyers adding Porter Martone and maybe a couple other pieces and maybe moving off of some players have just been wildly inconsistent for them. Like for example, Owen Tippett. You know,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
would you be happy with that? Because it feels like I don't think they're bad enough, Michael,
No,
to
they're at this point they're out of the basement. The defense and listen, it shouldn't be like a point of complaining, I guess, but it's like the defensive core has gotten good enough to the point where they're gonna be out of the bottom. You know, like everyone along with the goalie and like, oh, maybe a good goalie helps develop a defenseman because it's not every time you mess up it's a goal against. You know what I mean? But the defensive core, like Drysdale's turned himself to a really solid defenseman. York is very good, and like Sanheim's been good, and Ristolainen's very solid. And it's like that's a pretty solid four there. That if you got like a 1D, like that's what we keep talking about. They're a one center and a 1D away, and all of a sudden it feels like it's a whole new team. And it's true. If they had a true top flight defenseman with that core, all of a sudden, yeah, that's a really, really good defensive core. It's like top of the league. It's quite good. Um, so no, I would not be upset if they went and continue to acquire some talent like that because I do think ultimately they need it. Like you just have to do something. I know we say, "Oh, commit to the bottom," and it's like you can make moves getting off some contracts and maybe you don't love and still kind of get better. Um, but there's no reason that next year they should be like noticeably worse than they are this year. That's for sure. Like you overperformed for sure. However, you're going to add like your young talent is going to be playing from opening night and on as opposed to like calling them up halfway through the season, Barkey and Bump and Martone is like they should all be on the roster and in the lineup on the first game of the season. And that'll be exciting. Like that should be exciting, to have Michkov, Martone, Bump, Barkey, Zegras, like the and Forster back from injury. Like that's exciting to have all those guys out there. And it's not a bad team. It's not a bad situation. It's solid. It really, really is. But yeah, we'll see. We will see how they carry it out. I want to pivot quickly. I want to talk a little football next, if
Mhm.
that's all right, before we get into some Sixers and then some
Football with
Phillies.
some fantasy implications.
Yeah, some interesting moves. So we haven't talked about football recently. There's been some moves, and I think the biggest move that has taken place across the league is Jalen Waddle getting traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Denver Broncos. Now, the return to me really wasn't all that much. Like, yeah, it was a first round pick, and also a third and a fourth. However, the first round pick, and granted, Miami's got multiple first rounders now, but like the first round pick was 30th overall. Like in what is considered to be a pretty weak draft class, you can call it second round value if you want to be like Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport. But it is true that it's like if you're Denver, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I can pick at 30, maybe move up, or I can go get Jalen Waddle. And I think like you're just going to go take the proven player that's really, really good and, you know, absolutely fills a need for what your team lacked, which your receiving core lacked speed with a true good receiver. Yes, guys like Marvin Mims can run really well, and I'm blanking on their other receiver that made some pretty nice
Corey
plays.
Franklin.
No, the other one.
Oh, Pat
There's
Bryant.
no the other one.
Orland Sutton.
no, not Sutton. Oh my God,
I just named like their whole receiving core.
I
Like
know, but there's the one
Lil
more.
Jordan Humphrey.
Lil Jordan Humphrey. Yep, there it is. Lil Jordan Humphrey. Where guys that got some wheels to them, but they're just not true like complete receivers the way that Jalen Waddle is. And now here's a guy that like Cortland Sutton, we all agree is like a in terms of wide receiver ones across the league, is like pretty good. I don't think he's not nearly upper echelon. He's not like bottom of the barrel. He's somewhere in the middle among all the wide receiver ones in the NFL. But when you pair that with a guy like Jalen Waddle, who is also in like top echelon wide receiver two, middle echelon wide receiver one, if he was put in that role, that just makes your receiving core that much better. Absolutely. It gives you a new look as an offense. And for a team that likes to run a lot of deep balls, it's a great deep threat. It's really great. It stretches the
Yeah,
field, opens everything up.
yeah. And if you look at the Broncos receiving core, obviously Cortland Sutton's like the go-to guy for Bo Nix,
Mhm.
your boy Bo Nix.
Yeah. Listen,
Hey, he cost
this
me a fan. He cost me. Hey, I nicknamed him in fantasy. He blows, and then friend of the show Zach likes to remind me, John, why did you start someone you nicknamed He Blows in a pivotal fantasy semifinal game?
what's true is that this is how you're supposed to do it. If you are the Denver Broncos, this is what you're supposed to do. You have a quarterback, you have a pretty good gauge on where it's like, when things are going right and he's playing well, you can we saw you could probably win a Super Bowl. Like you just can. And while he's making no money, it is pretty smart to just invest heavily into the things around him to take advantage of the low money. And this is exactly the kind of move that you make, acquiring a
Yeah,
high
because we
price tag receiver.
talked about the Broncos offseason. They were the only team I think at one point to not sign a free agent.
Yeah, not sign anybody
Not
outside
sign
of
anybody. I think they signed like one guy to like the veteran minimum. And
yeah,
I
and
was
then they re-signed a couple guys. They didn't sign anybody from other teams. And they're
and we were
waiting.
both like, okay, they're probably going to make a trade That's
There you go. They
right.
made
And
a pretty
then
good trade.
bang, this happened. So here's the thing too. When you talk about him being a complete receiver. I think there's a lot of similarities between Jalen Waddle's game and then someone like a Michael Thomas when he was in New Orleans.
Sure.
That's the and like Marquez Colston, like Marquez Colston and Cortland Sutton are
Oh,
very similar receivers, and I think
yeah,
on
yeah.
Waddle. So this is basically like I would say this for Sean Payton. Sean Payton, like, listen,
A little
the
speedier than
Broncos.
Michael Thomas, though. You can definitely
He is a
stretch the field a
speedier
lot more.
Michael Thomas.
Right.
Listen, here's the thing though, is that while Denver was playing Stiddy in that AFC Championship game, Sean Payton made some kind of questionable decisions early in that first half that opened it up for New England to like take advantage. And I'm talking about the going for it on 4th and 1 by having Stidham on a rollout play. And listen, dude, Sean Payton really doesn't have an excuse for the Denver Broncos to not go to the Super Bowl. I know what you're going to want to say. Oh, well, John, like Bo Nix sucks.
Well, I mean, listen, like in the
Was Bo
conversation,
Nix this past year, like realistically, like how much worse was Bo Nix than Sam Darnold was?
well, that's what exactly. Not a ton. Like it just Bo Nix, if he plays in the conference championship game, they probably beat New England. Like New England's offense was that bad, that all you had to do was put together like two drives and the game was over. And listen, I think Sean Payton knew that. I think like he should have kicked it. Analytics told says to kick it too. Like it's not even anything. I can kind of see where you're coming from. Where it's like, listen, I don't know how many times we're gonna get down here. We need to put up 7 when we do. I can understand that line of thinking. It blows when it doesn't work, and the numbers favored the other decision. And it's like you just got caught trying to be a little too cute when you were shorthanded, and that's all it was really. But I look at the Broncos now with Waddle, and you look at their defense, and it's like they definitely have the most complete team in the AFC, and I think there's like a decent gap between them and whoever might be next. I'm not even sure who might be next because it's definitely not Buffalo. It's definitely not Kansas City. It's really not Baltimore either. They still have some glaring holes, and it's like, okay, those are the teams with the best quarterbacks.
Denver
We
also
know it's not
re-signed
Cincinnati.
J.K. Dobbins too. I don't know if
That's
you
my
saw
point. What's the next best AFC team we're looking at here? Like, then you got to go to the South. Is it Jacksonville? Is it Houston? Like, all both those teams still have some pretty big issues. I guess Jacksonville maybe not as badly, but like my point in saying is that you look at complete rosters, it's like Denver's number 1, and I do think there's a sizable gap, and we aren't even sure who number 2 is at this point in the
it
season.
might be the Chargers.
It might be the Chargers, and
It might
I
be the
don't think it's
Chargers.
the Charger, but again, I don't think it's any. I don't know. So yeah, they're really poised, I think, to make another run. They reloaded up with their guys. But we wanted to quickly talk about too some of the flurries of the Eagles' moves that have come in over the last couple weeks. One being Dallas Goedert. We haven't mentioned Dallas Goedert yet. 1 year, $7 million, worth up to 10. I think if like incentives or whatever, or the cap hits like 10 million, even though he's only getting 7, something like that. It's that's an interesting one, and it comes with concern and like excitement for me. Obviously, I loved Dallas Goddard, and I do think that his hands are so reliable, and it really, really is just nice to have him around. But the fact of the matter is that last year was a pretty big disaster year for him outside of receiving. Like he had his worst blocking season by far, and a lot of it like on film just looks due to a lack of effort. And a lot of the team looked like a lot of their mistakes were due to a lack of effort. But Goddard's was very, very palatable. Like it was very, very visible through it all. It was like, man, he is just constantly looking like
Out
he's
of
just not
position.
trying or uncomfortable or whatever. And it's like, we can't have that. You know what I mean? Especially with this new scheme that we're going to run that relies so heavily on tight ends being able to block. if you're gonna be lazy and shit, like I can't have it. Like I got to the point where I convinced myself I was ready to move on because of how bad of a blocker he was. And now they bring him back, and it's like I'm excited because it's pretty cheap for a very good receiving tight end. But he's got to. I would really hope that he brings back some of the blocking that made him as valuable as he was to this team for the first few handful of years of his career. It was like, wow, he's like Ertz but can block, and it was like, yeah, it's awesome. This is great. And then he just kind of stopped blocking. So we'll see, but
You know,
a
it's
lot of it
interesting.
does
Yeah,
boil down
I think
to
that's a very interesting point you brought up, Michael, because obviously about his blocking is because of the new scheme. And dude, like the Rams have like 3, 4 tight ends on their roster that all can
mhm.
block. The Packers have 3 or 4 tight ends on their
Tucker
roster.
Kraft might be the best blocker in the league.
Yeah, and even though they re-signed Dallas Goddard, I think a big part of it was because of his $20 million dead cap hit if he wasn't on the roster. So it actually benefits them to have him on the roster versus potentially not
There
having him.
was that poison pill loophole too that they could
Even
have.
so, you're basically still paying for him to not be on the roster, and I think, dude,
You're gonna have to do
I'm
that
sure
next
Sean
year.
Mannion probably said like, especially with Ryan Mahaffey, the new run game slash tight ends coach. I'm sure he's going to work with Goddard. Like Goddard's injuries don't stem from him blocking; they all stem from him
They're kind of freakish. Like
like
it's like
freakish.
him getting tackled weird.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it's
like
you know what I
him.
mean?
It's actually him from receiving, like him getting his
Yeah.
neck ripped, ripped, him getting
Yeah.
his arm broken, stuff
It's
like
all
that.
pretty bizarre. It's I don't know. The reason he's back here too is he wanted to be here very much. And why that seemed so like reasonable to believe is because we didn't get any there wasn't a single rumor as far as a rumor of a team interested. It was like, oh, Dallas Goddard in negotiations with the Chargers or with anybody. There wasn't one report of that. So clearly his camp was like not either they were and they just weren't letting it get public because they were like he's not going to go there. There's no point in making it news, or they just weren't talking a ton to other teams. I mean, I really do find it hard to believe he couldn't have gotten a 3-year deal of at least 10 million a year elsewhere, but clearly he really wanted to be back too, and that's great. I just it's just see the blocking get a little bit better, man. Like that's just all it really boils down to.
So yeah, well, and obviously, I think them signing Johnny Munt, like they're very serious about.
Trying to redo, but they
And I know
re-signed
what you're going to bring up.
Calcaterra,
Well, they
so I
re-signed
don't know, man.
Calcaterra, but
Right,
Calcaterra's like
might not
contract.
make the team.
Yeah, he's probably not going to make the team. It's like when they signed like Paris Campbell,
Yeah, and
last year. He didn't even make it out of camp.
they made Paris Campbell played some games last year, 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
The other moves they made, they signed Hollywood Brown as the third wide receiver on the team. And in a vacuum, I think I like this. I mean, obviously, not much of a blocker, that's for sure, but he will definitely be able to stretch the field. I think, like, in a way, they've missed Quez. Is that crazy to say? But it does feel like there's truth to that. Like, you think about when Quez actually had a good year in 2022. Obviously, the Super Bowl dread be damned, but he did have a nice year otherwise. And you think about a lot of his highlights, they were all deep balls. You know, he caught the nice deep ball against Minnesota for a touchdown. He caught the nice back shoulder against what was it? Pittsburgh maybe for a touchdown or no, Green Bay. Sorry, yeah, they were wearing all black. He caught the back shoulder touchdown nicely on the pylon against Green Bay, and when he fumbled against Washington, he did in the moment catch a deep ball down the field and like flip the field right before he fumbled. So like there was an element of the offense that Quez was pretty valuable in, where your two studs were causing the safeties to be brought down, your great running game, and Quez was able to go take the top off. And obviously, after the Super Bowl in the following years, he flamed out and was not nearly as effective. But the way they've been trying to replace the wide receiver 3 situation has been more of that, like, gritty do-it-all receiver of Zach Pascal and Olamide Zaccheaus. And it's like those guys were getting, Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson. Like, nice players, but definitely not like a speedster or someone that can kind of stretch the field the way that Hollywood Brown can. And I think that opens a new wrinkle that's pretty interesting. And I'm
Can I bring up something about Hollywood Brown though? I think we kind of overrate his ability to get open downfield. I have his Pro Football Reference pulled up,
Mhm.
and he's at the best season. Obviously, was
His rookie
in
year with Baltimore.
his actually no, it was his third year in the league. 91 catches for 1,008 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Hmm.
So he's not like he's fast, but he's not like he gets wide open downfield.
That's
Like
also Baltimore, though. They everything they. That was Greg Roman, Baltimore, right? It's just everything's on.
Roman ball. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say like he's going to be a guy. He knows how to get open in the intermediary part of the field. The Eagles are planning to attack the intermediary part of the field a lot more now in the
Mhm.
Sean Mannion's offense. And if you look at the receiving core, like over the last couple of years, outside of Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, it's just not been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So they
anyway,
also signed another receiver, maybe for other reasons than just
yeah, they signed
going on the field.
Elijah
Elijah
Moore,
Moore,
former Jet Brown. He
former
played
college
great.
roommate of AJ Brown, uh, seemingly very good friend. I remember reading that one athletic article about AJ Brown a little while ago, talking about like his mental and all this sort of stuff, and how excuse me, how one of the few people in his inner circle is Elijah Moore. I don't know. I think it would be naive to not think that it was done for the intention of making him happier for what could be his last season instead of making last season his final year as an Eagle. Um, Seems like a move they did pretty consciously to be like, listen, man, we're not going to be able to trade you this year. With a new offense, we think that you can have a crazy season and we'll reassess this next year. But to make your life better, here is your best friend. And they go and get Elijah Moore. So that's what that feels like to me. Um,
Yeah, actually, I find it kind of odd that not to go back to the Jalen Waddle point, but it seems like the Patriots were like dead set on getting AJ Brown for like pennies on the dollar because the Dolphins tried to trade Jalen Waddle to the Bills at the deadline, so
Mhm.
they're not adverse to trading to him within the division.
Right.
So like if you were New England, why wouldn't you want to get Jalen Waddle? It's like
Do you think
no,
they view the Patriots differently than the Bills? I could totally see that.
that's a
Where it's like,
possibility. That's
we
a
can't trade the
possibility.
Patriots.
But at the same time, though, like, dude, this isn't like Brady and like Belichick, where it's like we hate them with all of our being.
No, but I guess I don't think we have the PTSD as what it probably is like to be an AFC East team.
That's a good
Just
point. But
just
I
have
don't know,
dealt with
man.
it
Like,
these
I don't
years.
know, man. Like, would it still kind of miff you if like Josh Allen leads the Bills to their first Super Bowl and Jalen Waddle had 150 yards in the Super Bowl?
Maybe they weren't scared of the Bills. I don't know. No, I hear you though.
I don't know. Like it's kind of like in baseball. It's like, oh, we don't want to trade so and so to the Braves. We're going to trade him to the Mets instead. Like, like,
Well, yeah, when you
what
put
are
it,
we doing?
yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, that does make the AJ interesting because it's like AJ's a better player than Jalen Waddle, full stop. And that just made the price tag. It kind of like confirmed what the Eagles' price tag asking was, at least more than what the rest of the league held it out to
What are
be.
your thoughts on before we jump into? We're going to kind of go quickly into
Sixers.
other sports here.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on this news? This rumor that AJ Brown has a degenerative knee, and that is why the
Oh, I
Rams.
don't believe that one. Well, degenerative knee. I hear degenerative knee, and I think of Josh Sweat having a degenerative knee in college and how it like killed his draft stock, but clearly hasn't killed his career. I don't know. I don't think there's. I don't. I'm sure he might have knee problems and maybe isn't going to be as explosive as he ever was again, but I don't think it's like, unplayable. Won't want this guy on my team at all. Um, Nick texted me, sorry. Sixers are 6.5 point underdogs. Flyers are plus 120. Phillies are even today. You know it needs to be done, as in the
The
Philly lay.
the triple home lay.
Yeah, I'll probably dabble, see what it gets out to. Anyways,
Anyway, yeah. So I was
I don't think his
actually
knee is like
actually
that jacked
let's
up.
let's parlay. Pardon the pun. I mean, yeah. Let's talk about the NCAA tournament, men's tournament.
Okay.
Last 2 days. Wow, man. I know Michigan's the odds-on favorite to win the tournament, entering the tournament, followed by Duke. But man, Arizona, dude, that I think I don't know about you. I certainly fell into this trap because they've choked a lot in like the Sweet 16, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, dude, that team looks massive. Man, that they're going to be a very if you're a team that likes to drive the lane and try to like basically out talent the opponent like Arkansas was doing all year,
Mm-hmm.
you're in trouble. They could
Yeah.
win it all.
No, I mean Arizona was definitely, I think, a popular pick. I think a lot of people avoided it for the same reason you did, but I think there was like enough people that were like, you know what, if there was ever a year, it's now. And listen, I can't doubt it. I can't disagree with it. They definitely look like they look like a machine that also looks like they're playing their best ball when it matters most. Like Michigan kind of does too. Duke definitely does not, but they know how to get to the free throw line, and those have been kind of the big disparities. They just get their way to the line. I think that's a testament to having a bunch of players that are kind of pro ready, um, that they know how to. It's foul bait is such a negative connotation to it, but I honestly I do think it's like a good quality to have. You know how to get defenders in the air. You know how to get defenders out of position and draw a foul. Like it's a good thing. Um, but yeah, Arizona definitely like they haven't really broken a sweat. It appears through the first few games. So we'll see how the Elite Eight goes. I'm definitely excited. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we got out of that.
Yeah, and I think obviously the huge story of the tournament is Iowa. Have
I mean, Iowa, Tennessee. We got a 9 seed, we got a 6 seed, both in the Elite Eight. Like that's people. The Cinderella's dead, but it's like I don't know, man. It feels I don't want to go on the whole soapbox talking about NIL stuff or whatever, but the truth is that when you're trying to recruit kids or get kids to transfer to your school, it doesn't really matter what the school title is as much as it is like, do you have a good coach and are you going to compensate me? You know what I mean? And so if a kid's choosing between Iowa and Duke, and it's like, well, I might as well go to Iowa. They got a really good coach too, and they got a good program. And now, that's how they build out a pretty good team. And they just aren't as crazy loaded because they're not a 1 seed in this tournament. They're all the way down at a 9, but they're still really, really good. And like that applies to Tennessee, that applies to Vanderbilt, who's never all that great at, basketball and football, and they're great at both now. And that applies to, even some of the mid majors that won games like St. Louis and High Point, like those schools. So ultimately, it's not totally dead, and you can have deep seeds make a run as we're seeing. I mean, we got two, 6 seed, 9 seed in the Elite Eight. Very well could definitely weasel their way into a final four potentially. So
yeah, like I know it's
it's
like
been a great tournament. It really
right,
has. Like I think people
I
complaining
have a
about it.
take, Michael. I have a take that I think is going to be really unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see like an Iowa 9 seed that has a legitimate shot at making a Final Four than let's say like High Point getting into the Sweet 16, plays Arizona and loses by 50.
Ultimately, yes, because we love upsets, and upsets are very fun. But when upsets go past the first weekend, you're just setting yourself up for bad games. Like the great year we had, it was Michigan and as the 1 seed, but then you had San Diego State as the 5, and you had FAU as the 9, and you had blanking on who the other Final Four team was that season. But it's like, it's good, it's fun, but then all the good teams end up getting out, and then the end of the tournament becomes not fun because there's one team that just kind of rolled through their shitty opponents, and now their reward is more ultimately shitty opponents because all the good teams already got knocked out already. So it's
Yeah,
fun. It's fun to
it's
have
like
a one-off, but
it's like in the college football playoff where like Tulane and like JMU were in it, and you're like, dude, like what are we doing?
yeah, ultimately, yes. It's different because football, like it's one game, but it's like, I guess it's not super different. It's already starting at like what is there, 12 teams? It's already in like a, whatever, tremendous
And
12 or
granted,
something.
dude, in
But
hoops, like there is a higher probability for like an upset potential from like a talent base because listen, dude, if you're missing your free throws, I'm looking at you, Iowa State.
yeah.
And you miss like wide open shots, and the other team's just banging home every single shot, like Iowa was against Nebraska in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like it could happen, but I think like though, like I don't know, it's like I'll throw out like a hypothetical, like it would be like in the college football playoff if you had like I don't know, um, think of like a 2 or 3 loss like SEC school
Yeah.
as opposed to like JMU, like what, like oh my god, LSU was ranked
Alabama.
LSU
Yeah.
was ranked 15th this past season, and they knocked off Ohio State, who was the second best seed, or something like that. I guess is
No,
what I'm saying.
I hear you. It's yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think people complain about certain things that don't necessarily make the product worse. Like everyone's like bitching and moaning, oh, the NIL, it's ruining it. And it's like, take a step back for a second. Has this been a bad tournament? No. Has there been upsets? Absolutely. Are there high seeds in the Elite Eight? Yes. Like, what more did you want? I'm sorry. You know why? It's because it's like betting. People are upset that they predicted a few 14 seeds to upset 3 seeds and it didn't happen, and it's like, oh, stupid tournament. And it's like, what are we talking about, man? Like, we got a 9 seed that upset the reigning national champions and are on their way to their Elite Eight, and they got a game at 6 o'clock today to go to the Final Four against Illinois, who Illinois looked awesome, but that's not impossible.
They're conference rivals,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have conference games, Michael, any almost like anything can happen, But like, dude, we saw Purdue beat Michigan and to win the Big Ten championship. Like,
We
why
got
not?
Purdue, Arizona today. Yeah, you got some good. Whatever. People just like to complain. Um, let's get into some Sixers talk because they're so annoying. I will say, saw this tweet. I think I sent it to you. You might have sent it to me. Who knows? If you were to tell me that 73 games into the season, Joel Embiid has missed 39 games, Paul George has missed 45 games. They traded Jared McCain at the deadline for draft picks and acquired nobody else. And Tyrese Maxey was actively injured. What record where in the standings do you think the Sixers would have been at?
13th.
Bottom 5, bottom 10, maybe, definitely bottom 10. But how bad? They're 7 games over 500, and they are very, very much in play to avoid the play-in and get like a potential 5 seed after the Hawks just lost last night. It's all right in front of them to jump up to 5 and give yourself a nice gritty tough matchup against the Cavs in the first round. And it's like, it's really a
With
shame because it's
revenge
a
factor
shame.
because who's on the Cavs?
Sure. And it's a frustrating thing because one, it makes you mad at, how they treated this offseason, or not even the offseason, because the whole plan was like, we'll just see how it goes. How they treated the deadline, where like there's a ceiling with this team that's pretty high when they're all playing, and like we felt that during the season. We saw it with our own two eyes, and they just kind of ignored it. And so much so that while Paul George was suspended and Embiid was injured for most of it, and Maxey got hurt for the last few stretch of it, and Kelly Oubre got hurt for the last stretch of it, and Edgecombe missed some games in there. They went 13-12 in the 25 games that Paul George was suspended for. That's all you can ask for. Just stay afloat while your whole team gets pillaged and you're basically running G League rosters every night. Jesus Christ, man, what do you want? So they're here now. They play the Hornets and the Heat this today and Monday as two enormous games against teams that are right on their tails in the play-in. You find a way to win both of those games. First of all, you almost bury them. Not for them to like miss anything, but to keep yourself out of the play-in and keep them from passing you. And then you're throwing yourself right in a position to leapfrog both Atlanta and Toronto. And all of a sudden, you're back in the thick of it. And it's like if everyone's healthy, and that's pretty much it. If everyone's healthy, there's no reason to believe they can't maybe go on a little run. Go on a little run, win a round, and battle in a second round, and maybe you finally break through. Who knows? We'll see. Um, but ultimately, I do still think there's a reason. As much as I doom and hate on so many people within the Sixers organization, I do think that when everyone's on the floor and everyone's healthy, it's a fun basketball team to watch. And like, there's belief that they can win any night. And like, they played the Bulls. The Bulls stink. But Embiid rolled out of bed in his first game in however long and put up 35 in like 27 minutes. And it's like awesome. And Paul George like struggled in the first half and then had a nuclear second half, finishing with like what 30 or whatever, and like six threes or something.
He
And
looked like the old playoff, the Paul George, the Sixers were going to were investing all that money in.
he looked like what he was just like he looked like that one I went to the Bucks game before, they traded McCain, and McCain had 5 threes and George had 9 threes, and that's what it was like. It was like, man, he just can't miss right now. And those two guys look awesome. You win by you were up by like 40 at one point. You ended up winning by like 20. And now you play tonight against the Hawks. And Kelly Oubre's back after spraining his elbow or whatever. And Tyrese Maxey's back. And listen, John, you did say they're going to Embiid and George are going to play well, and they're going to get excited, and they're going to be like, oh, we need to rush Maxey back. And God damn it, it looks like that's exactly what's happening. And we just hope that nothing bad happens. I will say, injury risk purposes, it's probably the risk of re-injury is probably about the same if he came back today versus coming back in another week. I think the only difference would have been just giving him time, because it was like ultimately he just had to get cleared to shoot. Like he just had to be cleared medically to be able to start shooting again. I just think the biggest thing would have been giving him some time to work on his shot and get his shot together before he starts playing games. Because he's been saying he's been conditioning, like he's not out of shape, and he's not like the re-injury thing is like if it could happen today, it could happen in a week. It's not going to like get infinitely better all of a sudden. It just would have been getting your shots up and it's like getting your swing
Well,
back together in
the
baseball.
thing with Tyrese is that his game, yeah, he could shoot outside, but he's so good at just getting so quick to the rim where you're worried about like he tries to, let's say he drives the rim and, someone goes and, you know, smacks the crap out of his hand and risks.
I mean, I just think that would have happened if it's going to happen today. It could have happened next week. Like I don't think it's.
But why rush him back?
I don't. I think the only rushing being done is not having him just like practice and get his shot together before a game. Like, it's like a hitter being healthy in
Like
baseball and not giving them the minor league like rehab assignment, where it's like the health isn't a question anymore.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a good
them
point
doing live
because
pitching.
I don't know, man.
That's
Dude,
what this is more equivalent to. It's
can
not
I
like
can, can I
rushing back because he's hurt.
dude, it used to be the old heads that complained about the quality of the NBA regular season. Now it's like everybody is complaining. Like, dude, like I don't know about you, But have you ever looked on FanDuel and look at what like when you want to bet points and the team's playing the Wizards now, like
Yeah, I
the
mean it's
odds you
like
get,
20. Yeah.
it's like for like 30, 35, 40 points, it's almost
Yeah.
like minus 100, like 150. Like
Hmm.
the quality of defense, like I could see that. It's not like I don't know, like I don't really see like the Hornets coming in playing like the bad boy Pistons in terms of defense. It's not like a playoff game per
No, but I mean
se.
the Pistons are like they're like the Hornets are like 30-6 in their last how many ever games, Like they're on such a hot tear at this point. I listen,
I mean, oh yeah, they're
a
one of
lot
the
of
hot.
the surrounding NBA discourse is just a lot of it's annoying. Like I don't think tanking's that big of a deal. As
No,
much as
I
like
agree. No,
playing too many
you see a
games
lot of the
is.
scores though, and it's like guys are afraid to get hurt. Like there's been like this is like the most injured I've ever seen the NBA like ever, and it's not like
I,
guys
I
are
I think
faking
they're just playing
injuries.
too many games. I really do. They're playing too many games. I think you need to shorten the season and keep your stars on the floor because that is their biggest problem. Their biggest problem is you're not knowing who's playing on any given night because of anything. And it's like they're the only sport that has this issue and the best way to fix it
Dude,
would
I
just
was
be winning
thinking
the
about
games.
this a lot, and I'm thinking about like, well, dude, like guys weren't getting these rampant injuries like 10 years ago.
Well,
It
the
wasn't
players
as
are a lot more athletic and faster and stronger and more
well. Like,
explosive. Like
I'm thinking like,
it's any
geez,
sport. Why are there a lot more arm injuries in pitchers today? Well, they throw harder. Like that's why.
yeah, yeah, you're right. But I think also too, like, am I thinking like, is there ways for like, is it the sneakers they wear don't
No,
provide?
it's just they're just such freak athletes, all of them. Like you're not a professional athlete, especially in basketball, without being like a really high percentile athlete. That's why Jokic is so appealing to so many people because he just looks like some fat slob out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's like me if I was an NBA player." And it's like, okay, where you
Seriously,
know people, you know, you watch every like the seventh guy on the bench being able to like
Jokic
post
doesn't brush his teeth. He's just like
right.
me.
Like it's just everyone is just so athletic. There's so much off ball movement. Um, there's always like there's just it's just a lot of energy expelled like throughout the course of a game, and the game just used to be a lot slower, like simply put. And that's again like every sport, like the game used to be a lot the players just used to be a lot slower. Players used to not be able to hit as hard or throw as hard, hit as hard. Players skate as fast. Like all it's everything. It's all
Yeah, I
it's
do
just
think in the NBA, like, the regular season was slower, and now you wonder, like, are guys just going too hard? Like, is that like maybe like slow it down?
again, I just think if you shaved off 10 games and went from there, I think one, you'd have less time to tank, so more incentive to like you have less time to just commit to being bad because in theory, everyone's in it for the first couple months and then teams start the tank by like January, roughly, which is like an early end to do it, but that's when a lot of teams do it. If the season's going to end earlier, yeah, you'll get some utter slop teams that are just going to start tanking from the get go. But the truth is you're just going to have less teams feeling it's worth to tank
The
because the
NBA wants to
season's shorter.
add two more teams. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
I just don't think they're run well at all.
It is a fair. Yeah, I agree. All right.
But
So
they get guys back today. I'm very excited for the Sixers Hornets game today. Anyways, let's talk about
let's talk about opening day, and we can.
opening day.
So, Michael, you were at opening day.
I was at opening day. I've
Would
gone
you like to
to
talk about your opening day, your 2026 Phillies opening day experience?
I
Did you get a burger at
happily
the Ghost Energy Day?
yeah, no, I did not. I am happy to announce I've been to every opening day game since 2021. And I want to pat myself on the back for that. I'm happy I have that sort of thing going for me. I think maybe not 2023. I'm misremembering now. Now I'm losing it. Anyways, opening day was wonderful. It was actually a fantastic day for myself. Me and Maria, we got down there early. I took off work to go to the new era Phillies team store. They're totally revamped uh, their store inside the stadium, and it was awesome. It was really really cool. They had a ton of All-Star Game stuff. I didn't get that yet, but I will get that. Maria, she got that. We definitely did some damage in there. My pickup, my big pickup, Christopher
Oh,
Sanchez, Dominican Republic, WBC jersey. So very fired up about that. I was very happy to pick that up. I wish they had a NOLA one. I absolutely would have got it, but they only had Christopher Sanchez, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. Um, but yeah, we did that. That was great. Then while we were waiting in line for the ticket for the gates to open, I ran into World Series MVP Cole Hamels. So that was pretty cool. Got a quick selfie. I know he was trying to get through, so I was like, Cole, get a quick one. He was like, yeah, man. I was like, all right, thanks. And then he kind of sprinted off, and I was like, nice. That was probably the only one that got a picture with him. I don't think anybody else was able to nab one. So pretty happy about that.
it
Um,
looks like he's barely ever. He hasn't even aged.
No, he looks great. He really does. Very he's a good looking guy. That guy he does good for
Hollywood
himself.
Hamels.
Yeah. So then we went in. We got some new food items. We got the foot long hot dog. That was great. Only $9, which I was kind of surprised by. Like I really thought they'd at least push to 12, but at nine, pretty reasonable. Um, got the new Sanchez sliders. Some little like if you ever had Dave's hot chicken, it's kind of similar to that. Those were delicious for Christopher Sanchez. And then we got it's in Reading Terminal Market, but they added it to the stadium here. The chocolate strawberries with the whipped cream. It's a absolutely incredible food. Atmosphere was great. Weather was perfect.
I love that
Uh,
baseball now is like the food sport, where if you
it is
go
the
to the
food. It's
game,
absolute
it's
food.
like the food sport.
It totally is the food sport. But yeah, and then the game obviously was wonderful. Christopher Sanchez was dazzling. I will gush about him in a second, but Schwarber hitting a home run is always. I will never ever get tired of seeing that. Bohm hitting a home run, always a treat. I will say. And then the bullpen. It got a little hairy with Backus, but Duran slammed the door, and that was lovely to see. So all in all, really great game. No complaints. It was a pretty perfect day for myself. I will say.
Yeah, Phillies roughed up at Nathan Eovaldi. Very underrated pitcher. Rangers, man, looks really frigging weird seeing Brandon Nimmo as a Texas Ranger, but
Really weird seeing Andrew McCutcheon in that uniform too. He looked ridiculous, despite the fact that he's worn blue a couple times, obviously here and with the Yankees. But it's like in like that bright royal blue was I I was not. I was like, oof, yeah, it looks strange for sure. Um, but yeah, Nimmo
are
was
you a
came
little
back.
surprised Eovaldi was the opening day starter, not Jacob DeGrom, who's
I
going
mean,
today, by the way?
you've already had a sub 2 ERA last year in like 22 starts. So I'm not going to disagree with it. You know what I mean? I think he was a pretty fair choice for it. Um,
Yeah,
Evaldi
yeah,
was awesome last year. He just didn't pitch a full season. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a difference in their regard. But yeah, Phillies Schwarber in the home run was really nice to see. Trey Turner making a nice defensive play was also nice to see. That gave me some happiness there. I thought Adolis Garcia. I'm gonna talk about Adolis Garcia for a second. He didn't get a hit, but he hit the ball hard a couple times, and I would say had like four good at bats. Like
no.
it's obviously it's baseball. You can't. One game is not indicative of
I
pretty
wish I
much
could
anything.
pull the show we did last year when Max Kepler played his first game, and I would wager to say he said, "Ah, Kepler, he went over 4, but he hit the ball hard and had a
Listen,
couple
man.
good at bats."
Oh, listen, Kepler was unlucky, and we know that now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, he's really unlucky. He's suspended for the next 80 games.
the truth is that if he's going to play great defense and just have good at bats consistently, like, what am I going to complain about that? Like, no, I'm not. Um, but he did. Like, he hit the ball hard twice that got caught, and had just he worked counts like a big like honestly that's a very big thing for me because there was an article about how he wants to get back into that and that's when he was at his best in 2023 because the big thing that everyone complained about with Castellanos was just like the quality of at bat, the swing decisions. They were horrible. He's swinging at everything. He's not working counts. He's very aggressive, so he swings early in a count, like just assuming it's going to be a strike, all that sort of stuff. So, we saw it all spring. He only struck out like 4 times in the spring. He walked only like 5 times too, but he's just working deep into counts, fouling pitches off, and putting the ball in play. And I think that's just a nice quality to have. You think at the bottom of the Savant page, which is your walk rate, your chase rate, your strikeout rate, and your whiff rate. And it's like when those things are all blue, you're a pretty frustrating player. But when those things have some red in them, that's nice to see. And I think that, he might be in that middle of the road percentile of those stuff, which is just an improvement over what Castellanos has been over the last few years. So I felt to be decently encouraged by him. What was any takeaways that you had from opening day you wanted to share?
With the Phillies or overall?
The Phillies.
Well, I mean, obviously Schwarber. I mean, Oppo.
Yeah.
Um, locked in. I don't think that we know he wasn't the type of player who, as soon as he got an extension, he was just gonna, mail it in. We knew that. Um, the Alec Boehm in a contract season, when you take the emotion out of it, like the playoff failures and the frustrations, it's kind of intriguing to see him in a contract year scenario. He definitely does strike me as the guy who could hit like 23 home runs, 100 RBIs, 280, maybe like an 800 OPS, and he's going to have a huge market because of his age and he's never really been hurt all that much, and he could play both first and third base. His defense has been improving, yada yada yada. More of a he could be a more of an attractive like option because he's going to be cheaper and younger than like a Bregman was this past
Sure.
offseason, right?
Sure.
Bryson Stott with the new approach look good,
Yeah.
look
Yeah,
good.
solid enough.
The JT looks old and cooked takes. That's a little premature, I think.
I mean, I'm not gonna really say much about him until like June. Then we can start a conversation. But even then, I'm just gonna say, well, he's a guy that always gets a couple big hits in October. So until he doesn't do that, I'm not gonna complain about him. I
I was
really
just
am
gonna
not.
say though, like this is probably like the worst I've ever seen MLB for catchers in like an extremely long time. So like the fact they kind of pivoted back to him, I mean, it felt like with the Phillies, you had Carlos Ruiz for a lot of years. Then you had like the post Carlos Ruiz like dark ages where like Cameron Rupp was your everyday catcher
Mhm.
for at least 3 years, right?
Yeah, and then Alfaro came around before he got traded
And
for J.
then and then you just had JT for the past 6 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, people like to complain. People just like to complain is ultimately what it boils down to because and not to be like, oh, it's wrong to be frustrated with this team because obviously it's not. It's very justified, but like the truth really is the days were very dark for like a decade long and we are in one of the best ages of Phillies baseball like ever, really. Like it's the second best of my lifetime. It's the second best of your lifetime, right? I would say so in terms of like actually being good. Obviously,
Mm.
Um, It's probably like the third best of like our parents' generation's lifetime. You know what I mean? Like it's really people are just are ungrateful to an extent, and I think a lot of it got worse with social media, of course, like everything else has, but I do think a lot of people's football brains bleed into the sport and don't really they can't just grasp what the sport actually is. Where it's like baseball is the biggest crapshoot forever and always will be the biggest crapshoot in all of sports. Like it is obviously the Dodgers are going to roll because they do have a loaded team, but again, the Dodgers beat the Phillies on some fluke shit. Like, not to say that the Phillies were better than them or anything, but it was like every loss there was one play or two plays that were like, the fuck that was that? Like
Yeah,
that
that
was
Dodger playoff
ridiculous.
run, sans the Brewers series, was extremely
A lot of
fluky.
fluke shit. Like there were, and because that is just what baseball is. There is weird, sicko, disgusting, brutal things that happen every single year and every single time. You don't win a World Series comfortably. One of the most comfortable World Series that I remember is literally like the '08 World Series run that the Phillies had. They beat the Brewers in a breezy 4 games in the NLDS. They beat
Bro,
the Dodgers in a
bro, when the
breezy
Phillies
five.
won, dude, when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, they had to play the Brewers in the divisional series, and the Brewers had CC Sabathia.
What was the CC deadline year where he
It was the
threw like
CC deadline
for
where he would have probably won the Cy Young in the American League if he was not traded. But because he was traded at the deadline, he didn't qualify to be in the Cy Young race because he's pitching in two different leagues. But he was the best starting pitcher in baseball that season. And he walks Brett Myers. He walked a pitcher to
yeah.
eventually give up a grand slam.
Yeah, that was definitely euphoric.
Uh,
Anyways,
that's what I'm
all this to
saying.
say,
Some stuff, you're right.
all this to say is that I'm not gonna be hearing any of the Phillies complaining. Like Brandon Marsh had a really nice day yesterday. Brandon Marsh is a good baseball player. There is not one outfield in Major League Baseball that Brandon Marsh would not be a starter for. Full stop. Like there just is not one team where it's like, oh, this guy can't cut it here. Maybe like the Yankees, maybe. And it's just it's just what are we talking about? You know what I mean? It's just like it is a these are we have good players on this roster that everyone likes to complain about. But I said it a few weeks ago that the players that we all complain about, Bohm, Stott, Marsh, those guys, even JT, they are far from like slop. You know what I mean? It's like people act like it's Schwarber, Turner, Harper, and like a bunch of guys that should be they're like 4A players. Like they're rolling out Derek Hall and they're rolling out like Mike Calfranco and they're rolling out, Nick Williams still and all those sort of guys and Cameron Rupper, guys that just should not be in Major League Baseball. They're not. They're rolling out quality big leaguers every day. And that's why they're good. It's why they win 90 plus games a season now. It's why they're going to win another 94 games or so this year. Like it's just is what it is. But anyways, not to get on that tangent.
No, no,
I
no,
want to
you're right. No, you're
I want
right.
to gush about Christopher Sanchez. His story as just like a prospect and as a player is obviously fascinating. Was in the Rays organization. Phillies traded for him in a time where it was like, oh, you don't make trades with the Rays. Every trade the Rays make, it bites the other team. It was like this, folklore, but like there was truth to it. And the Phillies ripped him off. Curtis Mead has been DFA'd by like his third team now, and Christopher Sanchez is like the best pitcher in baseball, basically. So, or the top 3-1. And, was on his dying breath after 2022 when it was him or Bailey Falter conversations, like who's going to be the fifth starter in 2023. And I was on the pushing Bailey Falter agenda. I was like, I just think that he's had more success. The Phillies clearly saw the ceiling in Sanchez, at least to an extent, chose him, has a solid 2023, earns himself a playoff start in the NLCS, albeit not all that amazing, but he earned it. 2024, You expect a solid middle of the rotation piece. All of a sudden, flourishes into a your number two pretty comfortably. Gets the game two start against the Mets. Like he looks awesome. Last year, you're like, all right, let's see if he can take another step. Maybe in Cy Young conversations, if all things go right, and it was like, well, all things went right. He was really awesome last year, and now it's like he's just your ace, and he is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like it is truly wonderful growth for him each year, and it's so impressive and deserves every penny of whatever dollars he's going to get from the Philadelphia Phillies. And it's one of those guys where when you're like when there's like a true ace, their stuff, their games just do not look hard. They look like they're not breaking a sweat on the mound. Christopher Sanchez, like, cruised 6 scoreless of 10 strikeout ball against the Texas Rangers. Like, it it was a little hairy in the first inning. It was so easy for him, and it looks so effortless. He just has such a low intensity motion, and he punches 94 in there, sitting 94, 95 because it's the first start of the year. We know he gets up to 97, and the changeup is just everyone in the stadium knows it's coming. The hitter knows it's coming. Everyone knows, and they still can't lay off of it because it looks that good compared to his sinker, and he's just that dominant of an arm. And it's truly a pleasure. It's another thing that no one appreciates enough because they complain about so much other stuff of how good the rotation is, that how lucky we are that every 5 days, like, they're going to have the pitching advantage in like 80% of their games this year, 85% of their games this year. They will have the better pitcher of the two that are on the mound. And that is a very fortunate thing to have, especially when they are consistent. Like, it is not just, oh, they have these great pitchers, but it's like they're up and down. No, they are consistent. They are horses. They go deep into games and they dominate. And Sanchez is leading that staff at the moment, and it is truly a spectacle to just kind of sit back in your chair, kick your feet up, and watch a guy just go out there and dominate for 6-7 innings every game.
Yeah, you're wow. So yeah, I don't know what else really what to say other than you're like 100% correct.
I just had to glaze because it's deserving.
The big thing, though, I think with this Phillies rotation is going to be, I would say, number one, obviously keeping them healthy. Obviously, number one, that's the most prudent point. But number two, like, you look at Sanchez and you look at like the Phillies' development of pitchers. You know, dude, when Andrew Painter makes his first start, and he will make his first start, he is on the opening day roster. You can't help but think though too, like, if Andrew Painter does struggle, like, everyone's gonna freak out. But to your point, dude, like you said, Christopher Sanchez was like a borderline major league player. Like, he was not this heralded.
It was his last breath. Like, it wasn't like 2023 was like, okay, man, we're picking you over Bailey Falter. If you are not great this year, you're just done. You're not going to be here. Like, this is it. And he went and he looked really good. And then it's gotten better every year. It's
Ranger
amazing.
was in the Ranger Suarez was in the same boat.
He was back in 21, and like he was in the same boat just a couple years earlier. Absolutely.
And you're going to hear a lot of people complain with the Phillies. Oh, we don't have a Latin American like hitter or something, or like a star hitter.
We got the arms, man.
They have like a lot of great Latin American arms.
Yeah. I do wish they had some more bats, but that's
agreed. But that's different. That's neither here nor there. We got Knowles on the mound today. Knowles versus DeGrom.
This is a classic 2018 NL East bout right here from back in the day, where Knowles is going to outduel DeGrom. Come on, man, give it to me. I really hope Nola pitches well. It's not that I don't think he will. I just want to. I love when he pitches well.
I'm going to be scared if I see a tweet and it's like, Aaron Nola on pitching in cold weather. I effing hate it. It's the worst ever. Give me 85 degrees.
I didn't really consider that it's cold today. I mean,
you just bet like 5 Phillies to hit home runs, not realizing the ball's going to feel like
yeah.
The The ball's just not going to fly today. Yeah. So
I wonder what DeGrom's weather in the cold is. It can't be much better. Not that it's like a disaster,
well,
because he's never a
so
disaster, but
here's the
you
thing
know what I
with
mean?
DeGrom is that he's got great stat against the Phillies, but half of those starts were like the Cameron Rupp, Tommy Joseph like Phillies.
Listen, John, people forget that on opening day of the 2024 MLB season, Alec Boehm had a right center field 3-run home run off Jacob DeGrom. People forget this. And I thought he was going to be really good. And he was an all-star that season. So maybe he was really good. But anyways, um, I'm excited. I'm always excited. But it is definitely cold out, which we'll see how the guys look in this pretty gruesome weather. It's going to be cold, and it seems like as the sun could not be any brighter out today, that it's going to be cold with shadows, which feels like just an absolute death sentence for
Like playing a playoff
anyone.
game in like
Yeah.
1 p.m.
Yeah.
on a Tuesday. I agree.
Yeah.
At
What
least
else do
it's
you want
not
to talk
raining.
about? Yeah.
What's
What else
that?
do you want to talk about? Because we can, we're pretty much at the end of what we set
Well,
out
I
to talk
want to
about.
talk
But what else do you
about.
want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about opening day for the rest of baseball. So we joked about this on Tuesday. Opening day was on Netflix. Giants Yankees. The Giants did not touch Max Fried, at all. They got
Mm-hmm.
dominated. You picked the Yankees to win the American League East. They look good.
They did look good. Max
They look
Fried,
good.
he
There,
battled, but
there
battled.
was one thing that greatly stood out on Thursday, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm.
There's so the books, Las Vegas, cleaned up on Thursday, and you're asking why did they clean up on Thursday, John? A certain Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher did not make it out of the first inning because he threw 40 pitches. And while you're thinking, oh my God, what happened to Paul Skeens? Like, you're like, oh my God, the Mets got the Paul Skeens. Sort of. I want to say sort of.
It was it was going to be a start that it was like, okay, every inning is going to be a grind.
Where it prompted a stupid ass John Heyman tweet about guys that pitched in the WBC having to pitch on opening day, which was so moronic because
what about Christopher Sanchez, man? What about
he's dumb? Like, he is such a dumbass. He is so stupid. John Heyman is he has an 85 IQ, Michael. He is so dumb.
Yeah, what an asshole, truly. But
no, I think he's just an idiot. Like,
he's like I don't know, but
like Adam Schefter's an asshole, but he's not stupid either.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm going to share my screen because we're going to watch this. We're gonna. This is
boy.
this is the visual presentation of the podcast.
I see the parlay is really. It was a tough parlay missed with Skeens. So listen, me too, man.
This is what cost me a parlay. Yes,
I had him 7.
We're gonna watch this together. We're gonna watch. Well, okay, so
it's a little glitchy at the moment. There you go. Make it big. Right. Make it big. I think if you make it big, it'll be all right.
That's what she said.
Well, there you go.
All right, here we go. So, hold on.
Wait, this isn't even the first one.
Oh, yeah. So this is the second one. Can we get the first one?
Yeah. I'm sure you can find it.
56 outs above average, but every routine fly ball turns into a group project.
Yeah.
All right. Can we get...
Here you go. Tell me to send it to you.
This is the one I see here.
Just did this the play after Antonio Cruz, after misjudging a ball that sent in 3 runs.
That was the second one again. Yeah, he did it twice.
He was doing this a lot last year. Like, that was...
Yeah, so he has bases loaded, and he takes like 3 steps in. The ball goes over his head. It was truly...
This is why you can't trust errors as a stat for fielding, because neither one was really an error because he never touched the ball.
Right. It's why stats like ERA are like, listen, this will be the year that everyone agrees that, like, oh, ERA isn't that important because it's Paul Skeens. It's like Jokic, basically. Yeah, he lost that one in the sun. The first one he just got an awful read on, and like
Why
it
is he
blew up
not
the
wearing
lead.
sunglasses?
Is he not?
No.
I don't know. It's just all he's a horrible defender, and like I don't know, just shouldn't be a center fielder. I don't know. It's just dumb, but yeah. Skeens got tagged early. Honestly, it tanked his ERA. Like Christopher Sanchez became the Cy Young favorite before the game even started, which I thought was pretty funny.
That is kind of funny.
What other big topics from opening day? Rhys Hoskins having a nice start for the Guardians. That was pretty
guard ball.
cool to see. Yep.
Guard ball.
Yeah, the Cubs, they lost a rough one to the Nationals. That was a tough one. The Brewers, Mizorowski, the Miz looked very good. Struck out 11 through 5 innings or something like that. He pitched really well. Kevin Gausman pitched really well yesterday for the Blue Jays. I don't think anybody's smacking any homer parlays right now because not enough stars are hitting home runs in the same day, and I think that's tends to be what people do. But Aaron Judge got on the board yesterday. That ball was absolutely smoked, which kind of broke his rough start to the year. He was like 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts at one point. And yeah, I mean, opening day is very exciting, and the baseball season beginning is always very fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to another full slate today.
Did you also, this is another thing too. This is about ABS. Did you see
Yeah.
Salvador Perez just cooking home plate umpire Doug Eatings, the bottom of the strike zone?
Yeah, he called. It was like 3 overturns. I'll be honest, feels like, I mean, hitters especially, they're very, very cautious. Like there are definitely some ones they're not taking, and I think teams are kind of scared to take them at this point. Like I think it's definitely a big learning curve. I saw a tweet that said like every team's probably got a team of like 15 to 20 people ripping their hair out trying to figure out the numbers that allow them to steal runs throughout the course of a game, because it's true. Like there's gonna be a stat. It'll be like, challenges above average or challenge runs, whatever, something like that. And it'll be like, wow, the whatever, this team had like estimated like 40 runs, save between the ones they saved and the ones they added when they were hitting based on their challenges. And it's like, oh, this team lost out. They had negative runs on non-challenges and challenges that they lost and whatever. So I do think that eventually it's going to take some time, because I do think while teams should have been preparing for it, I think in practice it is definitely more difficult to have everything figured out. I think it's going to take some time, but eventually we're going to get to a point where teams are going to figure out the math on what an optimal challenging strategy is. And it's like teams are going to deploy it in a certain way. And yeah, it'll be interesting. That's part of why I like the ABS at the current juncture. I'll complain throughout the course of the year, I'm sure, about just going full robo, but I will say for now, I do like it because baseball is a sport of strategy. It's always been a sport of, pitching matchups and setting your lineup in a certain way and when to bring in certain bullpen guys and, even shifting your defense, even if it's not as extreme, but where guys used to line up. And this is just kind of a new wrinkle. This is a new wrinkle of strategy. When are the optimal times to use your challenge? Is it worth burning it early on a call that's so in a low leverage spot? Or, you got to be certain that you're going to get it right. Like all those sort of things, because the last thing you want is what happened with the Dominican Republic USA game where, a guy makes a great take that should have, been a walk and kept the inning going, but he gets rung up on a pitch below the knees and they didn't have any, and there was no ABS system in that spot. And it's like, if that game had the challenge system in it, say, and they had already lost 2 challenges, and that happens, you can almost throw your hands up and be like, shouldn't happen, but you have challenges and you burn them early. That's your fault for not saving them for a bigger spot. Where, if you save it and you make the right call and it saves the game, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing there. So, yeah,
There
it
is one
definitely had.
last thing I wanted to bring up to you.
What do you got?
It's football related, and then we'll wrap
Okay.
up the show. What are your thoughts on with the NFL with the rule changes becoming this huge big to do the last couple years? That a certain play
Oh,
is not even brought up.
I mean, we knew.
This was such a like, you want to talk about beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
The tush push ban might have been like probably not even talk beating a dead horse. We're talking about like beating it to like paste.
I mean, we knew, John. We knew this was going to happen, right? We knew that while the Eagles was showing they weren't as successful with it for whatever multitude of reasons, the offensive line was banged up, whatever the reasonings were, that they weren't as good with it. And in turn, the team was also not having a great season. Obviously, it wasn't going to be a big deal. Obviously, it wasn't going to be a point of contention. As soon as the Eagles get good at it again and they're back at the top of the league and in the Super Bowl, guess what's getting banned? It is an anti-Eagles thing. It was never about player safety. It was never even about the aesthetics of how it looks. It was never about how hard it is to officiate. It was never any of those things. It was truly never any of those things. It was just the fact that the Eagles were good at something, and it was something that other teams felt they couldn't stop, and they wanted it gone. They wanted it banned. Why don't and in a year where they struggle and the team isn't good, it's very easy to be like, who cares? Let them do it again. We know how to stop it now, or something like that. You know what I mean? So just stupid, but ultimately we knew it was going on.
Yeah, I just thought it was if you talk about what the Eagles, like the 2024 Eagles, if you get into a debate, Michael, about how great they are, how great they were, and someone's like, because we saw this, I don't know if you saw this, so I see a lot of this on Twitter now because people love to dump on the Eagles at every possible juncture, which I find who are not like NFC East fans, like just general fans. Like I saw like Seahawks content creators were like, the 2025 Seahawks are far superior to the Philadelphia Eagles for this, and this reason. And it's like, okay.
It's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, and then, but like, if you think about it, like they probably, like, you talk about having like, I don't know, like an easy path to the playoffs, but like,
no, listen, we're not here to,
like, dude, like
the
the Eagles were so good, the league had to try to find a way to inhibit them.
Yeah. Listen,
Think
we're not
about
going to
that.
take away from how good the Seahawks were. They were great. It's just like, 2024 Eagles are on a level of some of the greatest teams
I
of
saw
all
some
time.
tier lists that had the only Eagles, like explosive players. They put like only Eagle was like Saquon Barkley was like on the C tier, and you're like,
Yeah,
it's like the Eagles are a super team until it's time to talk about the individual players, and they're all overrated and they're bad.
Yeah, I choose not to engage, or I honestly try to just not even look at Eagles, because a lot of those accounts, Dov, whatever, does it all the time. It's just like they know that Eagles fans will tweet and reply because a lot of them get very sensitive, and like it is what it is. The nobody likes us, no one likes us, we don't care is the biggest load of crap ever, because they absolutely care very much. Like they say they don't care, and they arrive in droves in the Twitter reply section, and it's like, okay, guys, we care. It's all right. It's not a big deal. We're allowed to care and get upset when people are mean to our team. It's fine, but we don't have to pretend like we don't. That's kind of what it's like. So I just see it and I'm like, whatever. I know what this is. It's not real, and I ignore it and just move on. That's how I keep my sanity. in the off season, in the NFL off season, when that sort of chatter comes back up. But I think that'll do it for us today.
Yeah, we're gonna obviously next week's show is gonna be like the first like full Phillies week. We're gonna get closer to the NFL draft, Michael. We've barely even touched the NFL draft, and we're gonna find out a lot about a lot of the top 30 visits for the Eagles. And I don't know if you know this, Michael. You probably do. The success rate when not say success rate, but like 80% of the guys the Eagles have brought in for top 30 visits, the Eagles draft them.
Yeah, or they acquire them down the line too. Like that doesn't, like, the affliction, it doesn't go away. Like, they either draft them or they'll maybe trade for them in a few years, or they hit them when they're a free agent. Like, it is definitely pretty indicative of where their head's at.
And
draft.
I think once we find out more about the top 30 visits, because I think you can only have them up to like 2 weeks to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can definitely talk about them. Maybe talk about their game, like, their style of play. But yeah, man,
we'll see. We'll see when it all comes out. Enjoy the cold weather, but a great sports day. Elite Eight action.
I was outside earlier,
Baseball
Michael.
slate.
Full stop. Even though it's like you look at the weather, like, oh my god, it's cold. The sun, like,
The sun helps.
it makes it feel like it's like 45, 50 degrees. I think
you can deal with that. Big Flyers game, big Sixers game. Enjoy the sports day, everybody.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the TheP-LotPod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.